Hey guys, enough said. Meet Simmons back with another video. Today we got a video discussing knowing your wife, and I got a few issues with this video. But let's just see what my man got to say.
Let's see.
Tell you how many men think that their only responsibility, or that what defines a good man, is going to work every day and putting food on the table and putting a roof over their head. Did my job. That's all I'm supposed to do to be a man. Bro, that's base level. You don't get extra credit for that.
For turning up.
You should do that. If you know more about your truck than you do your wife, that's a problem.
Yeah.
And a lot of these dudes, man.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, they know every little tink of their truck. If they hear something wrong, they know immediately. They know when the oil's supposed to be changed. They know the last time they did service. They know it. And they don't know the first thing about, after 10 years of marriage, what she really likes, what she really loves, what really gives her peace and security, what really brings her joy in her life. They've ignored all of that.
What is your issue with this video?
You know, this is he's right. He's truthful in what he's saying. A lot of men do not know their wives, and
I agree.
I'm not going to even try to tap dance around that. There are a lot of men that don't know their wives, but the truth is, most men are not even taught to know their wives. I think the main issue that I have here is that it's assumed that most men don't want to know their wife and don't want to do nice things for her and they're selfish, and I hate that narrative that men are selfish, and that's not true, because a man that's in his place on his purpose is the most unselfish being on the planet, because that man is not going to lay his head on his pillow at night until everybody in that house is taken care of.
Yeah, that's true.
And this narrative that men don't take the time, we don't care to know, it's not true. It's not true. So what he's asking this man with this very high and tight haircut here is asking, what he's saying is that you need to have, as a man, there's more to that, protecting, providing, and procreating.
Yeah.
There's a lot more, and there's a lot of things that comes under provision, providing structure, providing discipline, providing, all that stuff, providing security in the home and in your partner. And so I think that's where it's messed up at, and the assumption is that men don't care, and that's the problem that I have with it, because it's not true. He just doesn't know how.
And you mean like maybe he hasn't seen it?
He hasn't seen it.
Whether dad was there or not.
Yeah, maybe his dad was the kind of guy, the provider type.
The provider type, which older generations, that was typical.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't the fact
makes
that
sense.
We've called men to this higher place of being, there goes that word again, emotionally intelligent. Those other things like that. We're calling them to higher to be better, and that's great. But we're not calling our counterparts to do that either, though. The women are still yelling, you need to make this amount of money.
Yeah.
I need to have this kind of house, this kind of lifestyle, and you better help me around the house, help me with the kids, all this stuff, yada, 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 and tend to my needs, and make me feel like a princess, and like we're adding so much to the man's plate, but we're not adding anything to the woman's plate because he doesn't get that in return. Right. The assumption is that women are doing all these great things and men are doing nothing, and I got a problem with that.
I agree. I think I at first I was like, I'm not really seeing where you're coming from, but you're right. The assumption is that the guy chooses not to. He chooses to spend more time tinkering with his truck versus studying his partner. And I think for both the man and the woman, that goes vice versa. We when we're coaching our couples, we tell them all the time, that's something, when you get married, when you say I do, you sign up to be a lifelong student of your partner, because you're forever evolving and growing. So if you want to remain happy and healthy, you have to be a student of your partner. So that's an ongoing thing that both parties need to do. But you're right. The assumption is, when you have a guy kind of talking about, well, almost like the man up, do better trope that we hear a lot.
Men need to do better.
There's not really the grace or even the understanding. But what do you do when you haven't seen it? Or what do you do when it's not, you haven't been grown up or groomed in that environment? Then what do you do? And where do you go for that? Because when you try to go to other men, sometimes it's like, well, just do better. Well, I'm asking you, like, what do you do? How? Give me the how. Well, just do better. Yeah. But what does that mean?
And so what you have is, and I know these men. I'm not. This isn't something I read or something. I know these men. So what you have is, you have a generation of men, young and old, that are running themselves into the ground.
Yeah, trying to do better.
Trying to do better and trying to be better husbands. And the world's just demanding more of them. More. This is why the male deletion rate's through the roof. This is why men are like, you know what, this marriage thing, I don't know, man. It's like a whole lot of giving and not a lot of getting. And so a lot of men are opting out of it because it's like, no matter what I do, it's never good enough. And so, like I said, I understand where this gentleman's coming from, probably in the same age group. I understand what he's saying, but we got to do a better job explaining to these young men what that means.
Show them how.
And the fact that you can require something from your partner, because these very same men will sit there and tell you you can't require anything from her, not even sex. But you got to do this, and this to be a good man, but you can't require a thing from her, and it's all optional what she gives you, and whatever she gives you should be happy to take it. That's not going to work.
It doesn't work.
That's not going to work. So these men in my generation, and I think we're about the same age here, we got to do a better job of selling marriage to young men. We got to do a better job of telling them what they can and cannot do and how to require something from their woman. And not just say, well, you know, if she does it, that's great. And if she doesn't, you still got to do this, and this. It's no longer working. They're not listening anymore.
It was an earlier point you said, kind of in the beginning when you started talking, you said that men typically know their partners better than women know their partners. And I think if we think about that, I think that's a good point, because you guys spend so much time trying to please us and make us happy, and we spend so much time trying to tell you what we want and what we need. So if you look at it from that aspect, if I'm always telling you what I want and what I need, and I'm not saying that that's all we do as women, I'm not saying that, but I am saying that there is a large portion of the time that is spent on I need, I want coming from me. And if you're trying to please me so that you have in turn peace in the household and not live in turmoil and chaos, then you are studying me to make sure, okay, this is what she likes, this is what she doesn't like. Prime example, when it comes to giving y'all gifts, we don't even know what to give y'all. Because we're trying to give you something based on what we would want from you. You know what I mean? Like, we literally did a video not that long ago, like it was a cute video on what to give your man for Christmas. But there are so many women that literally struggle with, I don't know what to get him because he don't never want. We don't study. So my encouragement and challenge to every woman watching this is, instead of getting offended and be like, you don't know, instead of doing that, I want you to really kind of think about what I'm saying here. Think about how to study him. Think about some of the things that you need to be, or you need to learn about him so that you're better for him. So I don't know. I just want to put that challenge out there. I just thought that was a good point that I wanted to make sure we touched before we ended the video.
Absolutely. And I would challenge, like I said, I would challenge men in my age group, if you're 40 and up and you've been married for a considerable amount of time, I would say 15 years and more, change your language. Change the language. Stop the shaming and you don't do enough and you know more about your truck than you know about your woman. That's not going to work with these young guys. If you truly want to sell marriage to them, you truly want the next generation to be better, change your language. Change the way you view things. I try to see things from their standpoint, because right now we're doing a horrible job of selling marriage to these young men. And if I were in my 20s right now and I heard this guy telling me, I would not even think about getting married.
That's the truth.
Like I did when I was 22 years old.
That's the truth.
I got married because the men around me really gave me game. My dad gave me game. I knew exactly what I was getting into when I got into my marriage. I had no blinders on. I knew for a fact it was going to be hard work. And I knew for a fact there was going to be a lot of things required of me. But I also knew that when I was this moment I'm married, I have the right to require things from her too. Because if we're in this together, it can't be all on me. And right now the messaging to these young men is either A, don't get married, sleep with a bunch of women, or B, get married and be a doormat. And that doesn't work anymore.